These are the 5 worst mistakes you need to avoid in language learning. You're probably making at least 1 or 2 of them, and every single one of them is catastrophic. So keep watching and make sure you avoid all 5. Everyone wants to learn a language fast. Everyone wants to speak well, but most people fail for the same 5 reasons. These mistakes destroy your progress, waste your time, and they keep you stuck at the beginner level forever. You understand a bit, you know a few words, but you can't speak at all. But if you fix these 5 things, your fluency will improve really fast. So listen closely and be brutally honest with yourself, because every mistake I'm about to mention is really common, and they're all easy to avoid. Let's start with the first mistake. It's the most basic, yet it's the one almost everyone makes, which is not being consistent. People study for a couple of days and then they disappear for a week. They watch a few videos, feel motivated, and then they stop and they do something else. This is really bad. Consistency is really important in language learning. It's like going to the gym. You don't get stronger by training once in a blue moon. You get stronger by showing up every day, even when you don't feel like it. So the first thing you need to do is to stay consistent. Even if it's only 15 minutes a day, you need to stay consistent and try to learn every single day. Because otherwise, every learning session becomes a restart. If you leave too much time between sessions, you lose a lot of your progress and you have to start again. It's really that simple. Consistency is really, really important. It's the most important thing. Consistency beats talent and intelligence every single time. But this is not enough. Consistency is really important, but it's not enough. Because you can be consistent and still fail miserably. And this brings me to the second mistake, using gamified apps. This mistake causes massive damage because it feels productive and you feel like you're doing something and you're really not. You get points, badges, streaks, coins, all that nonsense, but what you don't get is actual skills. The apps are designed to keep you addicted to the app, to make you continue playing. They're not designed to make you fluent. You can be consistent for a year or for 5 years using these apps like Duolingo, and you will still struggle to have a basic conversation. Why? Because they're games. They are nothing like what real language looks like in the real world. You tap multiple choice boxes, you match little pictures, you learn some isolated words here and there that you will never use in real life, some weird sentences about bears and bananas. Let's be honest, that's not learning, that's just entertainment. If your goal is to play video games while pretending to learn, then by all means, use those apps. But if your goal is to understand and speak the language as soon as possible, they're a massive waste of time. They divert you from the only thing that actually matters. Learning the phrases and the vocabulary you want to use in real life. No app can help you with that. For now. And this brings me to mistake number 3, which is a classic. Lazy learning. Binge watching YouTube videos, Netflix shows, TV, films, and calling that comprehensible input, and hoping that you will learn to speak the language by just doing that. It never works. You cannot absorb a language through passive input. This is probably the biggest lie in the language learning community, especially on YouTube. A lot of people are selling this idea because there are many people who are lazy and want to be deceived. You want to believe that you can learn, that you can get results, that you can develop skills without effort. But the real world doesn't work like that. And I know some of you will get angry about this because you love your comprehensible input videos, but this is the truth. You cannot develop skills through entertainment. It will help you with comprehension a little bit if you do it enough for thousands of hours and years, but it will not develop your speaking. You cannot learn to speak a language by watching someone else speak. The same way you cannot learn to box by watching boxing fights, or you cannot learn to play the piano by watching concerts. You cannot learn to speak a language by watching videos. It doesn't work like that. What you really need to do is to learn useful phrases actively, repeating them aloud, a lot. Passive input will never do that for you. Language classes and grammar books do have some value. If you go to classes, you meet people there, you socialize, you get some speaking practice, hopefully. But the reality of it is, studying grammar is slow, unnatural, and completely inverted. You didn't study grammar before you learned to speak your native language, right? If you learn enough sentences, you can learn grammar easily in context. You don't need to study grammar rules at all. But unfortunately, this is what most language schools do. They teach you lots and lots of grammar rules, and they make you do lots and lots of grammar exercises instead of focusing on what matters, learning sentences and doing a lot of speaking and listening practice. If you learn enough sentences and you do a lot of speaking practice, you learn all the grammar in context. You don't need to study the rules. And speaking of fluency and speaking practice, this is mistake number 5, not practicing speaking enough. And more specifically, not practicing speaking on your own enough. People think that they will learn to speak by having conversations with native speakers. And this is a good idea. The more you speak to native speakers, the better. Talking to native speakers is definitely useful, but in most cases, you will not get enough repetition by doing this. You simply won't spend enough time talking to native speakers. And if you're not very confident in your speaking, the time you spend with native speakers won't be all that useful because you will not do much speaking. So you're not really getting much practice, so you're not improving, so you're stuck. The solution to this is speaking alone. A lot. Speaking to yourself every single day, even if it's only 10 or 15 minutes, will do a lot more for your speaking skills long term than having conversations with native speakers. Because you'll do drills, you'll do shadowing, you'll do active recall, you'll do deliberate practice to work on your speaking skills. And there's no one judging you, so you will not hesitate to speak. And once you are face to face with native speakers, it will be much easier for you to have a proper conversation because you will have so much practice already. So speaking to yourself every day, even if it's a little bit, will make conversations with native speakers much better, much easier, and much more enjoyable. And that's basically it. These are the 5 mistakes you need to avoid. If you learn consistently and you stop wasting your time with stupid apps, and you stop lying to yourself, telling yourself that you can learn to speak by watching comprehensible input videos, and you stop wasting your time with grammar books that have nothing to do with how the language works in real life, and you speak to yourself a lot every day on your own, you'll become fluent very quickly. Anyone can do this. It's really easy. If you want to see exactly how to do all of this, just follow the link in the description.